one thing I think that is really lacking on some level in our industry is a kind of mentorship. It's something you see in other industries, quite widespread. I do know some actors who have had mentors, sometimes facilitated by their drama schools and things like that. It wasn't something that was facilitated for me, but that kind of sharing of a little bit of knowledge from upstream, passing that little bit of knowledge from upstream.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm upstream, but
Well, you're on the river
but
anyway.
maybe. Yes, 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 yes. I've been doing it for a few years now. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe encountered some rapids that you can tell us about.
Yes, that's taken me downstream big time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm stabling out now, kind of.
Had to like
You're
build
always going back and
a
forth.
raft and start all over again. Um,
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
but yeah, Chucky, yeah, really, it's so lovely to talk to you, man. I mean, obviously we're working together a lot, and I'm loving working with you. Such a cool guy and a great actor.
No,
And
cheers, man. Vice versa.
yeah, I mean, looking at your Wikipedia page, obviously
Ah,
it's that you're originally from Chiswick. I'd love to know just about like when you were young. Did you imagine you were going to become an actor? When did you first sort of have the idea to be a creative? Was it something that like maybe when you were a teenager, you didn't think about seriously, or did you always want to be an artist? And yeah, how did that kind of come
to
about
be
for
honest, yeah, I used to say that it was a complete and utter pivot in my life and almost like an accident. But then I've been thinking a lot on it recently, and I think it was always going to happen, actually, because I think some people say they're always, they were natural born performers, etc. I was a natural born hidden performer behind closed doors. I would, for example, like I must have been like 8, 10. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson at the time. I'd kick my family out of the front room, turn off the lights, and just dance for like fucking like hours and just like visualize me being Michael Jackson. And then when like Lord of the Rings came out when I was in my early teens, I would sort of kind of behind closed doors just play those roles. But it was never something that I pursued. Sport was always like the forefront for me. I was boxing from a very early age, and then that sort of kind of switched to rugby, and I tried to make the rugby thing happen. I was in an academy
Mhm.
for Harlequins. That was sort of kind of part of my college program. And then in the final year, you kind of get contracted or you get dropped, and you go on to the next part of your journey, which might be university or just work life. I went on to university up in Leeds, thinking that I would sort of kind of keep the rugby dream going. Um, but I sort of kind of had the summer off and then got to Leeds for like the start of the year to start my course, which was in the sporting world. I think it was like sports nutrition, something like that. And I got there and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not what I want to do. I wanted to play sports. That hasn't come to fruition. So like, what now? Oh shit. Like I don't know what I want to do. So I dropped out a few months later, partied a lot, dropped out, came back home, like no money, spent all my student loan. And I was like, wow, okay, like I'm starting again. I think that's a common thing with like athletes that maybe have injuries or don't quite make it. It's like, well, what do you do now? Um, so yeah, I kind of went back to the drawing board, got like a retail job. And I think at that time I've always been like a creative. Um, and I was thinking of ways to sort of kind of get into the industry. Like I said, I always loved films. Films always transported me to a different world. I had an interesting childhood, so that was my escape. My dad had sort of kind of come back into my life at that point. It's like, quite serendipitous. And he said when he was a similar age as me, he was quite young. He didn't want to do it as a profession, but he did an acting class, and it sort of kind of made him learn a lot about himself. So he recommended me doing the same thing. So I booked he booked for me a class at the City Lit, which is like an adults community college in Holborn at the time. I think it might have changed. Very much like an intro into acting. And I was like, sure, wicked. Yeah, I'll go to that. Fine. And there was like a 3-week course, 4-week course. And I'll never forget at like the final week, we were doing these scenes. And I can remember what the scene was. The teacher had given us characters. My character was, I think I'd sold some drugs to someone in my school and someone had died. And the head teacher was confronting me. And this was this point of the scene was when I was honest about it. And it was all improv. And it just took me somewhere. And I had this like emotional breakthrough and I was just totally in the moment and I didn't know what was happening. But my body was just reacting to these circumstances, these imaginary circumstances. And it's just like an out of body experience. And after that, I was like, wow. And the teacher was like, well, this is it. Like, this is the craft. And I was like, okay, cool. So done. Book me on the next one. And then that's how I sort of kind of started my journey.
Had you not acted before that? Did you act?
No, I done like, I was, I choreographed like a talent show in my secondary school, did like a few fight scenes from The Matrix. So I was like, I always loved films and like loved doing it, but like acting, no, didn't do any of it, man. No, I was really shy. I still am like a shy person, but the thought of performing in front of people, oh no, I could never have. That wasn't me when I was younger. No way. No way.
And I mean, I was a kind of secret actor when I was a teen, but that's because I was embarrassed about it. I knew exactly that it was what I wanted to be doing, but I was embarrassed.
Oh yeah, interesting.
I'd done it when I was very young, and then when I was a teenager, I was doing loads of sport, and I thought I was too cool. And I remember going to school and sitting watching school plays. I was like captain of the football team, things like that.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, I was the man. And I remember sitting watching school plays, being like, I just wish I was doing that.
Oh wow.
I wish I was doing that. I remember thinking like, I'm better than that.
Yeah, interesting.
I thought I'm more than good enough to be in that.
So is it more that you're embarrassed of your friends finding out? And
yeah, I thought I was too cool for it.
how was you about your parents? Is it something that you voiced to your parents as well, or is it
only much later?
Okay,
much later because I kind of I got thrown out of school and all that kind of stuff and was doing nothing. And when I had a most important conversation of my life with my mum, where she said to me, she's very upset. I was in a lot of trouble, and she said to me like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with yourself? You know, do you like to do anything? Do you like to do anything?" And the first time I voiced it ever, I go, "The only thing I really like doing, Mum, is acting."
Wow.
And she'd stop crying and was like, "Do that, just do that." And the next day when I got up for breakfast, I came down to have my breakfast and she printed out every single drama school prospectus.
Oh, that's so lovely. Look at that.
It's top parenting. It's like top parenting.
Man.
And she goes, "Ben, did you know you can study at this? You could go to these places. You can apply to all these places." I was like, "Really?"
Oh, it's so nice. That's all we need sometimes, It's just people we love to give us a little. It's okay to do that,
Yeah, I've been riding that wave basically since then.
Yeah,
like a bit of faith.
Amazing, man. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then so you're at City Lit, but Chuku, you got your kind of big break in Game of Thrones. So then, what was the gap between you were starting out at City Lit? Must be a few years. Then, how did you make?
Well, there was
what happened in between. So there might be some stops in between.
Yeah, there's one thing I did like a few months before. No, it was a few months or maybe a year, which was like pivotal to all that stuff. So when I was younger, when I was first starting out, I've slowed down now. I have kids. I'm getting on in life. But I was a hustler, man. I sort of kind of taking my hustler mentality and put it into the industry. So I was always trying to make stuff work. So I went around and from City Lit, I'd done courses everywhere. I was always, I didn't know anyone who was in the industry. So as soon as I met other people who wanted to do it, always like messaging them, finding out about new courses, new classes to do. I was bouncing around the city. So I kind of made almost like a little group, and like a little what's the word for it? Sorry?
The little network.
Little network. Yeah, that's it. Of other people just trying to hustle and trying to make it.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I ended up getting this like my first agent at this new agency. And it, predominantly it was all commercials for like a good few years. And whilst that was going on, I was always trying to make my own stuff in the background and, go on like student film school websites and trying to get in their films.
yeah.
Anyway, so this small time agent got me a like a one line in this film called Me Before You with subsequently was with Emilia Clarke as well, and Sam Claflin, and I had to play a Mauritian waiter. Um, which is they have this sort of kind of Creole French thing going on. I just played it French. I just did French. It's like this is what I can do. Have it. And I'm like, great, do it.
Yeah.
And whilst I was on set, I met this girl who I knew, and she, sorry, you hear my baby crying in the background. And we got talking, and I was asking her who's she with, who's our agency, and as she was telling me, I was sort of kind of Googling it on my phone. I was like, oh, man, she's got a good agent. I was always trying to level up, to use what I can to level up. And I was like, well, do you mind if I message them? Because I want to, I'm trying to make it. Because I didn't go to drama school, and I was very aware. And I was very aware that I kind of had to make things work myself. So I messaged them and I was like, look, I'm on set with someone who's part of your agency. I'm going to be in this new film. I basically bigged up the role to make it sound like I was leading next to Sam Claflin and Emilia Clarke. Little did they know I had one fucking line. Anyway, I had like one day of shoot. I came back the next day, met them all, suited and booted, bigged it up to them, ended up signing with them. And by the time the film came out, we had a relationship anyway, so it didn't matter that I sort of essentially just bullshitted my way in. But
And
it
who was
was
that?
sorry.
And which agent was that?
This was Shepherd Management. Shepherd Management. And the reason why I say that is because through Shepherd Management is how I sort of booked Game of Thrones, which was huge. I was a massive fan of Game of Thrones before I was even acting. And I remember seeing the Dothraki warriors who I, was cast as and thinking, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Shit. They're like the only brown people in Game of Thrones. If I was acting, I could do that. That would be wicked. And the stars aligned, and it just so happened that the Dothraki was coming back in season 5 or season 6, as I was starting my journey, and that is where I met our good mutual friend Staz actually as well on that role. So in that show. So yeah. That's how I got that.
And so
But then that,
what was it like being on that set? I mean, that at the time was the biggest set in the world. So what was it like stepping onto that set would be your second job? So
yeah, absolutely shit myself to the point where like I didn't really talk. And so it was nice having Staz there and Diogo actually who I knew before. It's a weird job because like suddenly all these people I'd met in life have all been cast in like the same tribe. So it was like I needed that, I think, because I was a duck out of water, man. I was so nervous. Because I'm such a fantasy geek. Like I grew up watching, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. So when I watched Game of Thrones, I was invested. And then now suddenly I'm on that show. It's just like too much. And not only that, one of my first scenes is okay, where I'm riding on a horse in Spain. Emilia Clarke's down there. The camera's sort of kind of following our horses, so we got to sort of kind of time ourselves to the dolly whilst trying to act and be these warriors and speaking this made up language. It's just like fucking like doing that on 1,000. So it was crazy, and I couldn't really. I think I was just in survival mode. So by the time I came back, I was like, wow, okay, that was an experience. So there's not really much that I could sort of kind of digest from that because it was such an out of body experience. But I remember doing that show and thinking all the lead actors were so calm and cool and collected, and it never seemed like they were Like, it didn't seem like they had the weight of the show on their shoulders. I was thinking the show is a success, so everyone's going to be there and like locked in, serious, you know? So when I got there and everyone was just like, you know, chatting, talking, taking it easy, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. You know, you did that. Like, something comes from that. So something comes from being relaxed and, you know, performance wise. Anyway, so yeah, that show finished, and I assumed that was it. I assumed I was off to the races. You know, the phone would be calling. I booked Game of Thrones, baby. So what's next? And then it didn't ring. And yeah, then that's like the next part of the journey for me.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So what happened after Game of Thrones? Did you change agents, and did you stay in the UK? And what happened for you after Game of Thrones when that finished?
I went back to my retail jobs that I'd quit. I came crawling back with my
Really?
CV in my hand. Yeah, I had to,
Wow.
because I couldn't get any more time off work to do that. Because although it was quite a small role, it still required quite a lot of time out of the UK.
Uh-huh.
And like no normal job can just let you take this time off. So I went crawling back to my retail jobs, which is always quite humbling as well. Like, that was I'm glad that happened actually, you know, because like when you first tell everyone in those jobs, yeah, I booked a job and I'm gonna go away, and they hear it's Game of Thrones, they're like, oh my God, shit, wow. And then you come back and it's like, no, this is the reality. This is the working actor. You know what I mean? You might go away and do cool jobs, but then you're hunting for the next thing, you know? Um, so anyway, I went back to those jobs, and what was the next thing? I didn't work for a long time after that. My next thing after that was The Good Doctor, which
Mm.
is what took me to Vancouver and was like the first big leading role, series regular role that I had. And that might have been 2, 3 years later. I'd have to look. But
Mm.
yeah, so it was a long time just auditioning. Still with the same agent at that point.
Mhm.
Um, the only difference is that I now had an American manager as well.
Wow.
Um, a bit of serendipity happened with that, but I think a large part of that was probably because I now had something like Game of Thrones on my CV.
Mm.
Suddenly, you know, people take you a little bit more serious. You know, you're not just like just an actor starting out. You know, you actually have some credits to your name. But I have a friend who I used to tape with a lot, like another mixed race guy called
Uh-huh.
Josh, who's not acting now. We used to do all our self tapes together, and we both had the same agent.
Mhm.
Different American agents though. And we both auditioned for this show it was a pilot called Searchers for the CW show network. I got a bite straight away. And this is the first time I had a bite from like a network show. I was like,
Mhm.
Chuku, they like you. They want to hear it in American accent now as well, and your accent, and here's some notes back. I was like, oh, okay. And that happened like the day later. I woke up, they like you, they want to see these notes, send it to us ASAP. So I got to that, sent it back out. The next day, okay, they want to bring you to LA for a pilot test. And this is
Mhm.
all within like, like 2 days, you know? And I'm like, oh shit, okay. How am I getting to LA? I don't have any money. Like, no, don't worry, they're gonna handle that. So they bring me to LA and I'm meant to land, test the next day, go home. I end up landing and being there for like 5 days in this hotel in like Burbank, no money because I'm not working. And I ended up calling my agent. I was like, what's going on? Like, when am I testing? Like, I can't survive out here. Like, I'm eating the hotel peanuts, you know, when I clean my room every day. Like, I'm broke. I need to go back. I need to make some money. And she was like, all right, let me find out what's going on. And essentially they had to, the network was saying, okay, look, we've got this guy to test, but we want him to test against someone. We want options. So they're waiting to find like the right guy to test you against. I was like, all right, cool, fine. Hopefully it's soon. My best friend, the guy who I tape with, then calls me and was like, yo, bro, this is crazy, but they're flying me out to test against you. I was like, oh shit. But like in a way, this is win-win, because if I don't get it, you get it. You know, this is great. This is good news.
Uh-huh.
But also secretly being like, if I don't get this or he doesn't get this, it's going to be a strain still, you know, because
Yeah.
we're all just trying to make it.
Yeah.
Um, Anyway, he comes out, he tests. And can I just say the screen test is the most alien thing. I thought it would be like a screen test, like there's TV cameras on you and they record you professionally. This screen test, and I don't know if it was unique to this network, was me walking into this office room, stacks of chairs, and every single one of those chairs is filled with a suit with almost like a clipboard. And you go to the front of the room and you have to perform this scene. And the casting director is situated at the back of the room. So you're looking past all these faces of about 20 people and they
Mm-hmm.
want you to do the scene. And that was like a fucking shock because I'd gone from self-tapes in my little flat to suddenly I'm in a room on the Warner Brothers lot with 20 people looking at you, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to see, this is like American network, they want to see a TV star, they want to see, they want you to control the room. And I come in and I'm like, hi guys. So anyway, I test, it doesn't go that well. I just crumble to the pressure. And I'm like, oh, I gave it my best shot. My friend comes out, he said he killed it. And I said, ah, shit. Okay, but good though. I'm happy for you, brother. He ends up getting it. We find out when we're both out there. So I get on the flight back and I'm like, I think he's gonna stay there now and do costume fittings. And I'm like, love you, bro. Go smash it, go kill it for us. On to the next one. As I land, I get this audition through for a medical show, The Good Doctor pilot. And I'm like, medical show. I mean, like ER, other than that, couldn't really give a shit about medical show. So I kind of did a self-tape on the whim, feeling really deflated and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that was my chance, it's gone. Send it off. Next day, Chuku, they like you, they want to screen test you. What is the fucking chances with this? And I was like, don't tell me I have to go back to LA. And they're
Uh,
like, no, they're gonna test you from your self-tape. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but fine. Went silent for a couple of days and then literally found out that I booked the pilot off just like one scene, which is like as has not happened since. Like it was very strange circumstances, and I think I'm right place, right time for that. So then that happened, and I went to Vancouver to film the pilot, and he was in LA doing the other pilot.
well, that's great and a great attitude for you and your friend coming up together. I've had people in the past who kind of take with people who have similar casting to them, and it
Oh
can
yeah.
can create real energy. I think so.
Yes. You have to yeah, your friendship's got to be deep and tight, so it'll be it can be tested for sure.
Exactly. And between Game of Thrones and The Good Doctor, how many auditions do you think that you did?
A lot, a lot, a shitload. In the hundreds. I mean, this was
Yeah.
that's no exaggeration. And because this also you have to bear in mind, pilot season isn't so much as of a thing now because it's like pilot season. Network TV is a dinosaur. It's disappearing. And streaming services is just pilots throughout the year. But that was like the last couple of years where they were doing pilot seasons. And in between that, I'd actually gone to LA and did my first pilot season in person.
Mm.
Um, and you're just getting sometimes like no word of a lie, 6 auditions a day. And you're just like, go, 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 go.
Mm.
So you really do sort of kind of develop this you get quite callous to it, and you get pretty good at filtering. And I think I still have that with me today, where sometimes, listen, in this industry, anything can happen. Sometimes you go up for roles and you're like, well, this isn't me. This doesn't come naturally to me. And you do it and it's great and they like you. And you're like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then
Mm.
sometimes you get stuff and you're like, I'm perfect for this. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm pretty good now at sort of kind of filtering. And that pilot season definitely helped that of sort of kind of stuff comes through and you're like, okay, cool, this is going to be a bit more of a stretch, so I'm going to have to work a bit harder. And oh no, okay, this comes easy to me, so maybe I can focus more on that one because it's going to be easier. So that really sort of kind of developed that quick, fast twitch muscle, and
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. But yeah, I had hundreds of auditions, hundreds for all sorts of things,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
sometimes like months with like no bite, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, and during that time, what was the kind of mindset you developed for that? Were you thinking like, okay, because I mean, working with you now, obviously we work on our auditions now, and I think you're somebody that I would always use as an example of the kind of what you're aiming for with your auditions, that it never goes below a certain level, that you're putting out consistent kind of high level, consistent excellence, really.
That's
That,
very kind of you to say. Yeah, thank you,
but
man.
well, just your auditioning is unbelievably consistent.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
always it never dips below a certain level, and so but obviously you're very experienced now. So during that time when you're kind of going through that, what was your mentality at the time of I suppose learning on the job or or developing that auditioning technique?
Yeah, I think I honestly just think I had a long time of doing shit auditions. Because I didn't have a technique, you know what I mean? Like I didn't go to drama school. I tried, you know, got on the wait list, didn't
They
get
don't
in.
teach you auditioning technique.
Did they not?
No, 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 no.
Okay, interesting.
You do
And
it
this
for
was
you do it for maybe a week at the end.
really,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
interesting.
They teach you how to act.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder if
yeah.
it's changed now though. Now things are
Well,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
self-tape. Because because definitely at the start, it's crazy how fast time moves, man. Because at the start there's still a lot of in the room auditions. You know, self-tapes were a thing, but not like they are now, where it's like basically 95% of the auditions. Um, so I was still going in the room, and it's fine because you're in a scene with the casting director. You haven't got to think about this sort of kind of the angles and this camera technique. So anyway, yeah, I probably did a long period of just like failing hard, flat on my face,
Mhm.
crap auditions, and then I guess you do enough to start being like, okay, maybe this is okay. Yeah, no, that's working. Maybe you need to be, you know, a bit bigger to catch their attention because I'm trying to keep it so grounded and real, but it's just falling a bit flat because it's my phone and then, you know, I so it took me a long time to sort of kind of get any sort of technique, and it really was from just falling flat on my face, you know, a lot of, and I'm like, thank God I didn't get dropped by my agents at that point, you know, because I've gone back and watched auditions. I'm thinking, fucking hell, like, what are they what are they seeing? Is this just a guy who's just trying his hardest to like trying too hard to
Yeah,
get this job, you know, and it's not working. Um, so I think for me personally, it's just a lot of it is just it's just over time, um, over time figuring out what kind of works for me, you know, if that makes any sense.
yeah. And then so you book The Good Doctor, and then suddenly you're working on network TV. So what is the chat? What is the your kind of first challenges working on a network TV show and working over in the States or over in Vancouver?
The first challenges I sort of kind of faced.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just adjusting to being on that kind of set. You know, I mean, I know um, I've worked with a lot of actors who are kind of going through working on network TV. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what your experience was, but like you know, things are changing, directors changing as the series goes on, just
Yeah.
the pace of it, the style of it, the changing scripts. You know, what was that experience like for you?
It's a lot, man. Yeah, it was a lot. Just just the sheer amount of people and like the scale of it. And I think whereas before I'd done a few job roles and jobs where, you know, you just sort of kind of it's a moving train and you sort of kind of just slot in, you do your thing and you hop off. This one being involved from the conception of it, the pilot and being part of like the main cast,
Mm-hmm.
I suddenly felt an immense amount of pressure to the point where I was like crippling almost, you know. Because first of all, as you're testing for these roles, before you even get the job, you've already sorted your deals out and your contracts out. which is like mind blowing to me because it's like, okay, like you're testing for it and they're testing other people. You haven't got the job, but this is what we're going to pay you if you do get the job. This is what you're going to get for the 6 years. So it's just like, oh my, like what? Anyway, so then you get the job and you find out, okay, this is what you're getting paid, and you are, you were going to be acting next to, and for me it was like Antonio Thomas, who I grew up watching on Misfits,
Yeah, yeah,
who I loved and adored, and Freddie Highmore, who I've been watching, when he was 6 years old in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Suddenly, you're a part of that, and then you look at their, and maybe I did things that that I shouldn't have done, and I'm probably setting myself up for failure. But I'm sort of kind of looking at what their credits and what they've done, and I'm looking at my credits. I'm like, how am I here next to them? Like, it's like I'm almost waiting for them. I'm almost waiting to be called to be like, yeah, Chuku, yeah, no, 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 like this was a mistake. You know what I mean? And that's how my mind was working. I was in imposter syndrome. I had major imposter syndrome. So anyway, we get on set and there's like these Vancouver sets and American sets. It's just massive, just a massive scale. People everywhere. People for 5 people for every different department. We do the pilot, which is cool, which is great. But like a really humbling experience was there was a girl in a pilot called Irene who was part of the series regular crew, and she was fantastic, fantastic actor, you know. Had a tiny role in a pilot, but her role was meant to flourish throughout the seasons. She like, honestly, we probably had the same amount of dialogue. It's probably like 5 lines each for the pilot, and for somehow they determined from that they didn't want her in the show. So before the show got even commissioned for a full season, she'd been cut.
Wow.
And it's brutal. It's like, because you find out the show is getting picked up, but then you get a call, you're not getting picked up with the show. So like it's almost like they dangled it in front of your face, and then it's like, oh, see you later. And I'm seeing that, and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna get called next. Like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You know what I mean? So really, I just spent like the rest of the season just in a state of absolute anxiety, and like not relaxed. And for me, what I've worked out now that works for me and sort of my technique is if I'm not relaxed, I can't do this. Like my instrument can't function. Like I need to be in a complete state of relaxation. Otherwise, I'm like, stiffen up. I can't get my words out. I can't articulate. It's like you can't play, you can't have fun. So yeah, I was in just like a state of like survival.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm deterring from the actual question here,
Well, no,
but yeah,
not at all. I mean, I think
the
that would have
question
been
is,
that seems like it has been the challenge for you then coming on that set feeling worthy and
yes.
like you belong there, finding your feet there.
That was it. Yes, yes. And because there's always producers on set as well. People
Uh,
always visiting, always the network heads, and they're in Video Village, which is like this. It's all blacked off, and behind there they've all got their screens and their headphones, and they're watching every little performance. So when you're doing a scene and like, hey, Chuku's your close up, I'm like, oh shit, all these motherfuckers are watching me now, and you just fucking go stiff. Yeah, it was tough. How people kind of get plucked from obscurity, from the ether, who have done nothing before, and then get put in the spotlight as number one and flourish. I bow to those people, and I take my hats off to those people, because it's like an immense amount of pressure. And I guess some people just they flourish under that, and I don't think I'm one of them. It's just sort of kind of taken me a while to build up this calluses, this thick skin.
So when did you think that came, and when did you start to really, yeah, was it on that show that you really started to kind of find your feet or discover the relaxation that you needed? Um, when did you really feel like you were meant to be
There
there?
was um there was an episode. later on in the season. I mean, they did like, it was like 22 episodes a season, which is
Wow.
mad. You know, given today's climate, everything's 6, 8 episodes. Um, I forget, it was much later on. I think it was like halfway in the season where it was kind of like more centered around my character. And it was the first time I got to do this sort of kind of leading sort of role within the show. Um, and I remember the director just being really loving and caring and like really seeing that I was struggling a bit. Here's the other thing, right, that you touched on earlier was that it's a different director every episode, you
Mm.
know, different dude every episode. And you're a series regular in that, right? So they are relying on you to bring your character every episode and to sort of make your own choices. Some directors won't even look at you. They're like, okay, you're main cast. You know what you're doing. This is your character. I'm just here for this episode. So I'm going to focus on the other things. So where I might have needed a bit more nurture because I was just, you know, a duck out of water, I wasn't getting it in that environment. Nor should I have to, you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, it was my job as a series regular to sort of kind of have that. But, you know, this is just me starting out. So anyway, so this director later on could see that I was, you know, in a state of panic. And it was like my bigger episode. And he really just sort of kind of looked after me and just told me like, Chuku, like it's gonna be fine. Like you're doing a great job. You've done some great scenes so far, especially in this episode. Like it's gonna be okay. And I remember seeing um that episode air because we was always shooting a few episodes ahead of the one that was airing. It all happened so quick in like network TV. Like you start filming and then it start airing like, you know, 3 episodes back. So anyway, I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, actually, you know what? I can do this. Like, come on. Like I can do this. I've been hired for a reason. I can do this, man. I can do this. I remember from that moment onwards, just believing in myself a bit more. And then we get to the end of the season where something else happens, but we can talk about that next. I forgot
Okay.
what your question was.
No, well, what happens at the end of the season? Yeah, I do not.
So
I know what happens, but yeah, what happened at the end of the
yeah,
season?
yeah. So I get a call um, saying that the show's going to season 2. You know, it's been picked up. You see it. There's like a deadline release article. Then I get a call saying, "Chuku, you're not going with it." I was like, "Huh? What do you mean?" It's like, well, because I think the show got picked up towards the end. It wasn't the actual end. Like, you know, it was like 3 quarters into the season, it gets picked up. We haven't read the final episodes yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. They're like, Chuku, you're not going with season 2. There's like a storyline for you, and we're essentially writing you out, you know? And now I'm older and like a bit more experienced. And in retrospect, I can see that. And I know it's just the way TV works, man. Characters come, characters go. It's just, you know, it's just what happens. But at the time, of course, that was all everything I feared and all my insecurities and all the imposter syndrome was leading to that moment. Because it was always going to happen in my head. And fuck it, I've got the call. Like I'm not good enough. This is why I'm not going to season 2, you know? Um, so that was a rough time for me, man. That was a rough time. I'd suddenly sort of kind of come back home. I had everything sort of kind of put in front of me. I was like, cool, like I'm a working actor now. Like I was working towards that goal to being like a main character on a show. And that was like my drama school, you know, that was like where I was going to learn about the job. And season 1, I was just sort of finding my feet. But season 2, man, I was going to kill it. But hey, you know, so I sort of kind of came back with my tail between my legs, and it was tough. I kind of had just to rebuild. I went back and did some, like I booked onto some like beginner classes. I didn't tell anyone that like what I'd done before, because I just wanted to say, I was like, okay, I need to learn this craft. Like I need to learn now. I need to learn. I need to learn. Um, but it's like, you know, it was such a great learning lesson for me, and a stark reminder of just what this industry is and like what I've pursued, you know, the incredible highs, the incredible lows. And I'm quite happy I got that quite early on in my career, because like nothing was going to get as bad as that. You know what I mean? So I sort of kind of took that forward, and ever since then, I was just like, it's like I feel like I know what this industry is. You know what I mean? Like nothing's going to be as worse as that. So yeah.
Yeah, and looking back on it now, even looking back at your work on that first season, um, I'm sure you have the perspective that it was not a personal decision or a reflection on your work. Yeah. um. So yeah, and so then what happened for you next?
Um. So then next, it wasn't that long actually. Um. That was it. That was it. I found out I wasn't gonna go to season two, but they were gonna write me like a lovely little storyline, and that would sort of kind of carry on in the start of season two, and then like season two, episode two, I was gone. So
Uh-huh.
we were done for the summer, and I knew I was gonna come back and do one more episode. So I came back, um, yeah, in a bit of a sort of kind of a mad place. Um, I just started rebuilding my confidence, which was just like shot at that point. And then I got a cool, tiny little cameo, few lines on the movie Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
which I was going to film right before I went back to The Good Doctor. So that was nice because I was like, okay, cool. So now I've worked in between
Mhm.
because obviously I was in a place where I was like, I'm never going to work again now. You know what I mean? Like, so this is it. Like, I'm done. I've been fired from this show, even though I wasn't fired. I've been fired from this show. I'm never going to work again. So it was nice that I booked a role on a Marvel film, however big it was or small it was. And I was like, okay, cool. All right. Maybe, well, maybe I can do it. Maybe I will stick it out a bit longer, Um,
And were you
so I
thinking
did.
about not acting?
Well, like you toy with this idea, but really and truly, like I'm in it. I'm always gonna do it. But I'm saying to my girlfriend, who's not my wife at the time, I don't know if I could do this anymore. Like, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess. Um, so then I did that, went back, and then finished up on the show, and then yeah, my next job actually was actually like it's was due to the connections that I'd made from that pilot that I didn't get.
Mhm.
Right. So this was really, I was now understanding the importance of when you're meeting these gatekeepers, these showrunners, these casting directors, um, the importance of just like leaving it all on the table and doing a good job and making some connections, making like a little rapport with them. So the guy who was looking to make the show searchers, which I didn't get, which my friend got. I'd met him a few times throughout the casting protest, and he was really sort of kind of trying to champion me for that pilot. He had then one of his other shows that he was running was The 100, which at this point had been going on for like 4, 5 seasons, 6 seasons. And I remember auditioning for it like a few times throughout the year, just different characters, thinking, okay, well, someone I think obviously likes me on this show because they keep asking for me.
Mhm.
Um, and then I didn't actually put two and two together when I met Jason. His name's Jason Rothenberg. When I met him when I was testing for the pilot, I didn't put two and two together. I didn't realize that he was the 100 guy.
Mhm.
So then I was back in my flat in Acton. The audition comes through for the 100, and then I see his name. I see Jason Rothenberg. I was like, oh, that's the guy who got me out for his pilot. I was like, okay, cool. So like, I know eyes are going to be on this audition. You know what I mean? So not like I wouldn't try for it anyway, but I just sort
No,
of kind of
absolutely.
took it that much more serious.
Yeah.
Whereas I might just do 5 takes and think, yeah, you know what, one of them's good enough. I was there for hours just trying to get it right. Um, Sent that off, and then pretty quickly heard that he wanted to call me and sort of kind of tell me about the character. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet, wicked, wicked. So anyway, that ended up happening, and then I was back out to Vancouver, you know, um, working pretty much next to where they shot The Good Doctor, you know. So it was just, yeah, it was funny being back out there, you know, on a
And
on a different show.
who was your character in the 100? What was the role?
Uh,
The role
a
you.
character called Gabriel, who was, well, it's all very sci-fi. I was like 150-year-old man in this young man's body because we could like transfer consciousness, you know what I mean? So it's like levels to it. And I was doing like an American accent for the first time, which was interesting. But you know, a humbling and a great experience. And yeah, yeah.
And how? Just talk to me about working on an American TV show in a US dialect. What is the level that you have to be at with that? How good does it have to be? Did you do things like staying in the accent, going on set in the accent? Did you or you one of these actors who switches in and out? Um, yeah.
Mhm. Um, for me personally, I tried to stay in the accent thing, um, but I found it too much hard work.
Mhm.
Like I was, and I found that then I found that when I was doing the American accent, if I could get my dialogue down, I was in like a good place with it. But I found like when I was like improvising, and if you know, we were just shooting the shit with someone, if
Mhm.
I would say something and it came out weird, that would just throw me off completely. And I'd really, really think about that, you know what I mean?
Right,
Um,
right, right. Yeah.
and it was just really taxing on the brain, you know, like for an hour in where you're, you know, maybe if I did it now, it'd be different because I've done it for X amount of years now. Um, but um, but right then it was just taxing. It's like I don't know if I got the stamina for this. So I didn't stay in it. Um, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough. I mean, I don't think my American accent's perfect. I think I could do a good job. But it definitely I felt off. But yeah, it's one thing doing it in front of people who are actually from that country. Um, but yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It's definitely a muscle that I had to work on. I had a dialect coach. I had multiple dialect coaches, one in the UK before I went, and then when I went to Vancouver, I found it really helpful sitting in front of someone and doing it with them, my lines.
Yeah.
But they didn't provide me with a dialect coach. This is someone I had to sort of kind of find. And then we every episode, um, when the scripts got released, I then see them on the weekend and we'll just go through it, you know, go
Yeah,
through it.
I think you really touched on something that I try to kind of try to communicate to all the actors I'm working with. It's a little bit harder now because so much of auditioning is taping that you don't get to build that direct in the room rapport with people where you sort of you really get a kind of more personal relationship with them. But
Yeah.
just to switch your thinking away from that casting directors are giving you a kind of rejection all of the time, and to see those like, oh, okay, see those patterns in your who's getting you in. See, this office is getting me in all of the time. That person, that means that there's a conversation been had about you. Someone has thought about you. Someone has spoken your name. Someone is trusting you to do a good audition that they can put in front of their, uh,
Yeah.
you know, their client, the production. Uh,
Mm.
is
Mm.
the kind of act of trust. You know that guy, that showrunner from who cast you in the 100, is exactly what happened there. And
Yes.
so somebody has spoken you. Somebody
Yeah.
has spoken about you. You know that's the kind of that should be exciting for you, even if you're not getting the yes. Then you
Mm. Mm.
it's the most important thing to be developing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard now that most auditions are self tapes because you know you don't get that you don't get that feedback you know from casting directors. Like you said, if you met them in person, you know, they might be able to give you a little bit insight, you know, and say, shame about the last project, but the director really liked you. And sometimes just these little seeds of encouragement is what, oh, okay, great. Okay, I am doing the right stuff. Because, you know, when you're just doing self-tapes, you can get lost in you're just sending them off into the void, you know, you
Yeah.
start questioning everything, you know. I'm in a bit of a thing right now where, you know, we've done lots recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, is anybody seeing them? You know, but it's just like it's just it's just stages, you know, just going through those stages, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a difficult one. I mean, I've had conversations with some agents about because everything is taping now, how much easier it is to get their clients seen.
Yes.
Because obviously nobody's having to pay for extra time to hire a space to have a room. You don't have to block at any time. You can just say yes to sending a tape. But whether or not they're being watched is
Is
a
another thing. Yeah.
is another thing. Yeah, exactly.
I have
So,
felt a shift recently where they are offering, especially they've started doing it in the States. I've just seen they've just started doing it in the UK. But they're offering now a limited number of Zoom auditions.
mhm.
So on like a first
You like to
come,
take them,
first
don't
come.
you?
Sorry?
You like to take them, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
If there's the option, yeah, you like to zoom.
I do now. Yeah, I think in the past I would have been like, because I never felt that I was a good auditioner, and I felt like with self tapes I could just, you know, really craft something that I was happy with.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, 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 no. Get that FaceTime with the casting directors, even though, you know, because you get comfortable, and I think we've got comfortable sending self tapes. So now the idea of now stepping back in the room of a casting director is a bit like, oh shit, oh shit. But lean into that, and the few that I've had recently have all been great. You know, even just the small talk at the start, it's like, oh, well, I'm sure she's having small talk with everybody, but it's just something, you know, and it, I think they're great, and I think it's good that they're offering them again, and at least you know that they're seeing you
Yeah.
live in the fresh, even though it's through a screen. It's like it's still there, it's still happening, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about was just raising a family as an actor is another big part of your life. Yeah, just when did how old are your children, Chicken?
6 and 1 and a couple of months.
And
Yeah.
what kind of stage of your career were you at when you yeah when you decided to start a family?
Oh, this is funny. I I remember this so clearly. Um, we was in Vancouver when we found out we're having my oldest. Um, I just been told, I can't remember if it was this way around or the other way around, but we're gonna go this way around. I had just been told that I wasn't going another season.
Hmm.
I don't think I told my partner at the time. And then we went for breakfast and she's like, I got something to tell you. Like I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Like this is not a message from the universe. I don't know what is. I've just been let go from work. And now I find out I'm having life and I'm going back to the UK without a job. And now I've got responsibility. I'm like, there's a message in here somewhere. You know what I mean? And I remember I remember going to one of the other cast members and a guy called Will, a great guy. And he was like, look, brother, it's all gonna be okay. You know, babies bring good fortune. Just remember that. Babies bring good fortune. Um, I was like, all right, man. And then went back and then obviously the 100 thing happened. But yeah, was out here.
How was it
Was
right
out
after the Good Doctor?
right after the good doctor.
Ah, wow, wow.
Yeah. I was like, well, maybe babies do bring them good fortune. Shit. I have some more babies. I have 5 more.
Yeah,
I'll be working
yeah.
non-stop. um, so, but I always spoken about sort of kind of being a youngish father. I think I was like 27. In
Mhm,
retrospect to my parents who had me when I was like 19, I wasn't young, but in like
mhm,
today's modern standards,
mhm.
pretty young. Um, but it's been a challenge, man. Been a challenge. Even there's like two sides to it. There's like the challenge is when you're working, and when I was working on the 100, it was when my wife was expecting. And I told them that I'm having a baby, and they're like, look, we'll give you 2 weeks off around your due date, but that's it. Because they just, you know, as much as they say they care about you, they've got a show to make. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, 2 weeks, this baby could come at any fucking moment. It's like it was like a gamble. It's like a roll of the dice. There's a very strong chance that I was gonna miss the birth of my first child. But in this career, nothing's given. So it was just like, so we had a big talk about it, and we're like, all right, I think we're gonna have to risk it. Again, good fortune on my side. Um, I happened to be in the UK when the baby was born, so that was nice. I had to leave a few days later, and then for like a 3-month period, I was doing like 3 days on set. I would fly home, and to be fair to them, production were very supportive. They were getting me flights back. I would fly back for like 24 hours, then I'd fly back and film a scene. So I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't know what kind of work I'm doing, but in a way, it was quite freeing. I wasn't getting caught up on the small things. I would like do a scene, and if one take didn't go right, fuck it, all right, we'll go again. Let me try it a different way. And it was like I saw it slowly affecting my work, and I was so much more relaxed. Um, Not because my mind was elsewhere.
It's give you
I think just because,
give you perspective, isn't
yeah, for sure, and the fact that I was just exhausted.
it?
So I wasn't taking things personally. And that's really sort of kind of carried through in my work now. Even with my self tapes, I'm like, yeah, let's just try again, or Anyway, and then so that's the side when you're working, and the side where you're not working. Like, I'm so blessed to be able to, like, I haven't worked now since it's been a couple of months. I'm so blessed because I'm like, I'm taking point at home. I'm full-time daddy, which is fantastic. But at the same time, you get a busy week with, like, it's been a busy couple of weeks with me and you. It's like fitting that around the nap schedules, fit around. Now my eldest daughter's on summer holidays, so she's around every day for 2 months. And my baby's still doing 2 naps a day. I'm taping with you, 8-hour time difference. It's like a lot of moving things. So I have to be very regimented about,
Mhm.
I contact you as soon as I can. We get that appointment in the books, and I'm like, okay, I don't have all day to learn lines. I've got half an hour here. The rest of the day I'm doing things, and then I can pick it back up on the weekend if I can zip away for a bit. So by the time it's come to go on the tape, like, that's the only time I have. Like, I can't then review it and think, oh, I'll do it again tomorrow. Like, that is it. I got to go, and I got to be on. And sometimes it's not always, you can't always be on because you're tired. And sometimes I'm having to send stuff that I'm not really like, I think I could have done better, but you can't be precious now. So it's adds a different dynamic to it, for sure. For sure.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it kind of both you and a few people I work with who are having to do who have that kind of thing that everybody wants, which is to be getting regular auditions, getting and a good number of them. To deliver that consistent level, the professionalism is about kind of structuring your life to enable that, being able to have a lot of factors. Quite often, I am one of those factors. It ends up being I end up being one of those factors of
Mm.
how to deliver the quality, how to
Yes.
organize your life to
Mm.
be able to do that job when you're out of work, that is your job.
Yes.
To
Yes.
deliver 4 or 5 tapes a week to 10 tapes a week.
Yeah. 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 Actually,
How do you structure your life to enable that? What do you need?
mm,
What do you need to have in place?
hmm,
Readers, multiple ways to tape,
yeah.
time for your lines,
Yeah.
techniques to learn your lines, be able to read, deliver a good tape when you're just kind of scooping the script. You're just
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
all these kinds of things.
That's why working with you, man, was like, I'm not just saying this to blow your trumpet, was like, as soon as I started doing it, I was like, why didn't I do this sooner, man? Like, it's like, it's an absolute game changer. And I remember seeing, Staz posting stuff with you, and I was like, it's just Staz is someone he reads with. Maybe I should look into that. And it was just in the back of my mind, and I was doing it a lot with my wife at that time. Um, but then the second baby was coming, and I knew that once that came,
Mm.
that's like, it's going to be impossible. So then I went through a period where I was like doing it myself, recording the other person's lines. And to be fair, I've booked a few jobs like that as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but I found that I was just not in a good place. Like sometimes, you know, when I work with you, sometimes you can attest to this. I have certain, like, remember the time I wore that fucking apron, unicorn apron? And sometimes I have
I
these
love that
ideas.
apron.
So the people, if anyone watches this, there was a tape where I thought I had a clear idea of like how this character should look, and then Ben took one look at me and was like, no. And then after seeing that, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
actually,
I
this
saw
needs
you
to be
come on.
different.
I saw you come on the call in the apron. I was like, hold on, I need to go back and check the brief. What is this? This is going to be relevant. There's a reason for this, isn't it? I read through. I was like, no, there's nothing. This character has to be quite tough, I think.
I was wearing a rainbow unicorn colored apron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you're in that zone doing it just by yourself and it's not working, spending like hours doing it, and my wife's like, yo, you need to help with the kids. And I'm like, you've been doing it for 3 hours now. And I was like, okay, something has to change. And then, you know, we started doing some stuff together, and then very quickly, like I booked a job with you like very early on. And even if that didn't happen, I would have still, you know, like I just felt a sense of, oh, I can relax now, you know, like that I'm here with like a like-minded person, professional, you know. It was great. It was just fantastic. And yeah, you've added a lot into my
Well, real
gift of
pleasure.
you.
Real
Yeah.
pleasure. Absolute pleasure working with you. Uh, yeah, I suppose I wanted to ask just a couple of questions just to round us off. Um, what advice, just a nice little bit of advice, would you have for an actor going onto set for the first time if they book their first TV job? What would be a good bit of advice to get you through your first few days on set?
To get through your first few days. Um,
Or any days really, but just advice. Somebody's booked their first TV job, they're going on to set. What advice would you give to them just to help them through?
so related back to me, if I was talking to my younger self, I'm always have a bit of hesitance to give advice because I think anyone can give advice these days. But if I was talking to myself,
Uh-huh.
my younger self, I'm very much a people pleaser, right? And I would like my need in my, you know, for whatever happened in my childhood, my need in life is to be loved. I want to be loved by everyone.
Mhm.
And sometimes, especially in my early days in my career, I was just trying to be loved by people on set, maybe to the point where it's taking away from the work. I'm like, okay, how do I explain this?
You think it was kind of wasting your energy or
Yes,
spending your energy
I was
when
too concerned about people
yeah,
liking me on set
yeah.
that I probably took away from the work. Well, really, all that matters, especially in those early days and those jobs where you come on and you're there for like a scene or two, all that matters is what you leave on screen. You know what I mean? Obviously, don't go in and don't be a fucking dick and say hi to people and, you know, be grateful and have respect.
Yeah.
But just remember you're there because they've hired you to do a job, you know,
So in action.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when you go, you were there for, you know, a mere speck of time in, you know, the big picture of the show. All they're going to remember is what you left on camera, you know, on that scene. So don't go there and try and be the man and try and, oh yeah, maybe I can, you know, be friendly with him and forget about that shit. Just focus on the work, Chuku. You know what I mean? For me personally, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's actually great advice. Uh,
Mm.
and would you have any advice for your 20-year-old self coming into the industry that would have saved you time, saved you heartache? What would you say to that young man?
Fail more, especially in class, you know. Um, Especially when you're starting out and you're just trying to find what works for you. Just fucking take bigger risks, you know. Look, like, don't fear falling flat on your face, because when it comes to someone hiring you for a job, it's a lot harder to do that, you know. And of course, you can still take big risks when you're hired. Um,
What does taking a risk, what does that mean to you? It's such a kind of, it's not an overused word, but it's such a big idea for
Mm.
actors that I need to be taking bigger risks. I need to feel free to.
But
Like, what does it? What is a risk for you as an actor? What does that mean?
a risk is, well, in a scene, it's like, well, maybe the scene, it requires, sometimes you're doing a scene and I guess it could be in class as well. And what I mean by taking a risk in class is like sometimes, for me, let me word this in the right way. A risk for me is sometimes you're doing a scene and you can't, not quite getting there. And I'm maybe doing like, I don't know how to explain this. Um,
For me, sometimes I think people get limited by the usually the desire to kind of do well, get it right, or fear, or overcome some fear of failure or rejection. That ends up being the limiting parameter,
mhm.
rather than seeing when you, for example, you watch yourself back and you go, "Oh, this I could have done this, I could have done that." Not being able to see actually what is, just limit yourself with what is possible. Think about all the possibilities,
Yes.
as opposed to being like, "Oh, I have to," limiting yourself to, okay, ultimately some safe choice, because you're going, it has to be right, it can't be
Y-
wrong, and so
Exactly.
right, and you make some safe choice. um,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think you summed it up perfectly. Yeah. Sometimes it's doing a scene and like, okay, you've done it a few times with a specific goal in mind. Chuck that to the wall now, and really just sit in the unpredictable. Okay, let's see, this can go anywhere now.
mhm.
But at the same time, you could fall flat on your face, or you could take it somewhere that no one ever envisioned. You know what I mean? Like you didn't envision it, just naturally sort of kind of, it's just having the courage to sit in that, you
Um,
know. And for me, in class, I think I was so determined just to do a good job and get it right, and maybe get the praise from the teacher. Oh, well done, Chuku, that's such a great scene. That I'm always, whereas I should have just been like, right, let's fucking just see where this goes. You know what I mean? And let's try something completely different and let's fuck up, because that is the place to fuck up. The place to not fuck up is when you've just been hired and it's your first series regular role and you got producers all watching you. You know what I mean? Like, no, there you got to do the
yeah,
good job. You know what I mean?
100%.
If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the kind of beliefs that I certainly had to get over myself was the idea of being the best. I think that was very,
Mhm.
I was kind of like, I have to be the best, I have to be some kind of feeling of achievement, and
Mhm.
of striving for excellence, but being like, I have to be the best, and if I'm not, it's not really worth.
Mhm.
And when I encounter it a lot with actors, working with them as an acting coach. I always find it inspiring when someone doesn't have that attitude, because it makes you aware of it's not a creative mindset.
Yeah.
It's not a creative mind. It doesn't serve you as an art. Doesn't serve
No.
you as an actor. It's completely unhelpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally
It's
unhelpful.
completely unhelpful. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't make you less ambitious,
Yeah.
want to achieve, but the mindset of I have to be the best, or uh, something like this, is uncreative. And
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
kind of open mindset, an open mind of, mm, like a beginner's mind.
Hmm.
It's a quite big concept, the beginner's mindset. That's in lots of things, but of just
Yeah.
of a bit
It's a
of
tricky
wonder,
one, isn't it?
open to possibilities.
Yeah.
So,
It's a tricky one. Yeah. Yeah. Because like I too, I think I had like a similar sort of thing for sure when I was first
must have done it also
starting.
coming from being high achieving in sport, and
Yes, there's a certain amount of ego that comes with it, but And although that ego was I was very quickly humbled in this industry. It definitely, at the start, it served me in the fact that I was just like, let's get it. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
And I didn't get into drama school. I pivot. I go that route. I just didn't get. Those agents said no, fine. I'm gonna go to that. And it's. But it's like it's extrapolating the ambition, but then letting go of the ego. And really that's only sort of kind of as I've gotten older and as I've been humbled, I've been able to sort of kind of you know dismantle that, and it's become its own thing now.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's not about being the best. I'm as good as I am, and some people aren't going to like that, some people are going to like that. All I can do is what I can do, and I'm gonna give it my best shot. um but I still know what I can bring to a role and to a character. Yeah.
Very cool. And what's the coolest thing you've learned from another actor any actor you've worked with? Or what's the coolest? What is something you've seen an actor do and you've been like, that's really cool. I'm gonna take that. I'm inspired by that, or anything you've ever.
I remember the first thing that's come to my mind. I've seen some
Yeah.
cool things. I've seen
Mhm.
some really cool things. Um, yeah, very lucky to have worked with some people I work with. But one thing that sticks out was Freddie Highmore, who played the lead in The Good Doctor.
Mhm.
Um, he was younger than me, and I was young at the time. He's someone who's kind of like grown up in the industry. And he amounts the amount of pressure that was on his shoulders. He was the face of that show. And not only that, he's playing a very specific character. He's playing a doctor who has autism,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. So it's just like, and the way he sort of kind of just navigated was like with absolute love and professionalism. But when he needed a moment, there's a certain scene where his character gets really flustered, like a bit of a sensory overload, and he has a bit of a sort of like a manic episode. He just he took time for that. He didn't feel pressured because people were waiting for him, and like we had to go. It's the end of the day. He stepped away, and he took time to get into that zone. And I could kind of like he was just like amping himself up. Um, and it's just having the confidence to be like, okay, look, we have this sort of scene. This is what we have to accomplish. It's the end of the day. We can rush into it and then end up doing it like 6 different times anyway and going over. Or you guys can give me a moment.
yeah, yeah.
I'm going to remove myself and I'm going to get there when I get there. And you guys are going to have to wait because this is part of my job now. And he came back into the scene, amped up, and he's just like, I remember watching it thinking, fucking hell. He just exploded on camera. Um, and I would have never had the confidence to be like, guys, I need time. I was a people pleaser. I'd changed now because I'm a bit older and I've been in the industry. But they would have been like, Chuku, we need to go. And I've been like, okay, let's go. You know,
Mhm.
he's just like, cool, give me a moment.
Yeah.
Came in, exploded. Like I was like, fucking hell, okay, cool. That's how you have to. But he didn't do it as in like, I need a moment. He did it with love, and everyone respected that. And it's fantastic. He's someone who I still, is a dear friend of mine, and I learn a lot from him. He's an amazing person.
Yeah. Very good actor.
Oh,
I loved his character in The Good Doctor. I love his
yeah, no,
very,
he's unbelievable.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Um, okay, cool. Well, Chuku,
Yeah.
so lovely to talk to you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. It's been lovely. It's been
Yeah, thank
lovely.
you very much. Much love, and it's only your day's only just begun in Vancouver, isn't it? So, um,
Yeah, yeah. We're about to do an 8-hour shift in the park, you know what I mean? So
well, much love, man. Thank you
thanks,
very
brother.
much, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Top man, Ben. Thank you, mate. Thank you,
Much
thank you for
love.
the
Take
time.
care, Chuku. Thank you, my friend.
Nice one, mate. Take care.
Bye bye.